Daniel, Vinny, I'm interested in, when we talk about analytics, what do we mean by analytics? What does that term mean?
Yeah, I'll jump in. So the academic definition of analytics relates to computational analysis of data and statistics. Specifically in this context, we're looking at patterns, metadata markers, and other document characteristics that we can leverage to accelerate discovery in a matter.
First question, Vinny. Daniel, there are a lot of tools for us to use, but what do you think is the most overlooked document review analytics tool today?
As a project manager, I see this a lot when talking to clients about this. For me, it's definitely email threading. If you're not familiar with email threading, as an example, let's say you and I, Joey, we have an email conversation. We go back and forth 10 times. Now, if that email conversation is now in litigation and counsel has to review that, what people are typically doing is reviewing all 10 of those emails. So what email threading will do, it will do two key things. One, it will identify where in the thread, the conversation, each email lies, right? So each no one will get a number 1 through 10. Number two, the most important piece is which of those emails actually needs to be looked at. So as an example, in that 10th email, that contains the content of the emails 1 through 9. So that way, we only need to review the 10th email and not all 10. Now multiply that by however many email conversations there are in your data set, you could be looking at a large reduction of emails. That, I think, is something that should be run on every single case and what we do here at Level Legal, but I think a lot of people do not.
So I have a question, and that is, we've been suggesting and doing email threading for at least a decade. I remember when you had to have a separate tool for it. Now it's embedded in the others, but if it's the most overlooked, it's overlooked. Why is it overlooked? Why are people not using this tool that makes things so much more efficient?
Yeah, I got to clear the air for a second. For practitioners watching this may shock you, but I'm sure you've seen it in practice too. There may be some reluctance from certain clients to leverage this tool. Very often, what happens is that litigators fail to negotiate the usage of email threading during the ESI stipulation or e-discovery order process. And it's very difficult later to come back and say, oh, by the way, we forgot, but we want to use these tools. In addition, I don't think a lot of providers are strategic in educating clients on how things work. And so if lures exist to mitigate risk, they may view a newer technology as just that, something risky. It's battle tested, it's proven, it works well, it's not terribly complicated. In fact, we interact with it. Think about logging into Google, Gmail, how they organize those messages.
Yeah.
It's by thread.
Yeah.
It works every time. You can also do a couple of cool things with the threading, even if you don't want to limit your production to the most inclusive terminal thread, the last in time message. If you need to produce each and every email, you can still deploy analytics in the email threading context to organize the workflow. You can batch out documents, grouping similar threads together. You can also use it for quality control purposes. There may be a good reason items in the same email conversation are coded or handled differently that may flag an item for follow-up. So a lot of benefit there. Definitely overlooked, even as shocking as that is to say. From my perspective, another item that's underutilized, in my opinion, is the metadata that's available to all of us in the project workspaces. So metadata is data about documents. We're talking about email subject, file size, file path, author, things like that. And even the programs that are used to create these files. Those are powerful tools that you can use to start carving the data sets and hunting for things of interest. We've heard about metadata coming up recently, the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial. They tried to rely on some evidence. There was some question about the propriety of the photos they presented. These are objective markers that each file transfers that can be relied on and used to accelerate your discovery process. So yeah, a lot of power there.